Hey everyone, I pray that you are all well and seeking more the presence of the Father, His heart, because life becomes tasteless and empty very quick if we make it about anything else. Well, the first thing I want to do is apologize to any of you that has been paying attention to what I've been posting or what I had posted before. My apology is for having spent so long before coming back to you guys, especially after having said that so many things were coming, namely the tsunami and also the mandate on the schools to vaccinate the children, and also the war. I'm not sure if I spoke about it, but yes, I want to apologize for that. Because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to notice that there was no tsunami in January, and so mainly that has been the one thing that has really kept me away, because I started wondering, why would anyone continue to listen to me after this? I kept going back and asking the Lord, why? Why would you allow me to post this video if it wasn't going to happen in January? And why is it that you're not letting me remove it? Which brings me to the reason why I chose to label this message my Jonah moment. If you remember the story of Jonah, he didn't want to obey God because he knew that God was a merciful God. He also knew that those people in Nineveh were his enemies of the Jews. So if he went there and they actually repented, he knew that God would probably relent from destroying them. But God convinced him to go anyways. So he started going around in the land every day, saying to everyone that God was going to destroy Nineveh because of their sin in 40 days. And the number would go down every day when he went. The next day after the countdown was over, he went on a mountain to look at what was going to happen to Nineveh. But nothing happened because the people prayed and repented. A lot of times, prayer postpones things. History is written by those who pray. Whatever the prophecy, if you don't pray, it will or will not happen depending on the prayer and or depending on the prophecy, even if it's the will of God sometimes. One of the things that took me longest to understand was why something doesn't happen even if it's the will of God. Man, that took me a while to understand, because in my mind, God is sovereign. If something is his will, then it's going to happen. That's what any person with a logical mind would think. But I never stopped to consider why there were such things as the holy will of God, which includes all the things that he has planned for you and for me, and the things that he requires obedience. And then there is the permissible will of God, which reflects things that he allows and things that are not in his will at all. I couldn't understand that until I started running into contradictions after contradictions. And when you look at the Bible, you see this in the story of Job as well, who was a rich man, never did anything wrong, prayed and sacrificed every day to the Lord. Yet one day he lost everything. Everything that he prayed the protection of God over. He lost his children, he lost his wealth, and even his wife at the end. He had to sit down through scorn and contempt from his friends that were saying that God would not allow these tragedies to happen to him if he had not sinned. And we know he did not sin. And we also see it with Moses, who the Lord sent to the Pharaoh to tell him to let the Israelites go. And yet at the same time, the Lord was hardening Pharaoh's heart to not let them go. And the people started scorning and blaming Moses for the harsh work that was placed upon them after he went and did that and made that request. God told him to go request the release of Israel. But God also was in the delay and contradictions. I'm sure you know the story of Joseph as well, to whom God gave dreams where he was going to be great among his brothers. However, the results were that he was sold as a slave and even imprisoned for a long time. These are the type of trials that cause people to lose their faith in God, and even in the prophetic voices that brings the messages of God. And I know some of you might say, why does God have to test anyone if He is all knowing? The answer is simple. God knows the outcome of every decision that you will make. He knows every detail as far as where you will end up and when. He knows everything about your choices, but He still allows you to choose. This answer might not be complete for some of you, but you can always comment and I will answer as best I can. Going back on topic of contradictions, I want to quote a part of a teaching that I received. This is what it said, and I quote, "That is what it all comes down to. The Lord allows contradictions to teach us obedience and abandonment. It's a real trial which causes us to die to ourselves. It completely destroys any attachments we have and any control we think we have in our lives or even in the words the Lord speak to us." And I agree 100%. However, the Lord never abandons us, He never leaves us nor forsakes us. He never leaves His children, especially when they are down. And before I continue, I want you guys to know that these contradictions brought me really low. So low that I had even resolved in my heart that I was simply going to leave this channel, never look back, and move on. But He didn't want me to do that either. The thing is, guys, I'm going through hard times. The fire is raging around me right now. Contradictions after contradictions. I set my hopes on a word that the Lord gives me, but nothing happens because for some weird reason, I have to wait. I'm being taught patience and long suffering, and I find myself having to give explanations that I don't even have. And what's worst is that my marriage has suffered because of those things as well, because of those contradictions. To be completely honest, I've been living in a studio all by myself for months now. I'm facing humiliation on every side with my family, my friends, because I am crazy and incoherent. Yeah, I wanted to give up because I worried a lot about what people was beginning to think of me. I'm always the one giving advice about marriage, always the one speaking about relationships, the things of God. But now, look at me, completely stripped of any good name that I ever had. And still, for some weird reason, I'm still choosing to believe. I'm choosing to believe that it is truly Him speaking to me. And right then and there, I felt a nudge, and He started speaking to me. He said, "My children, this is the first message that I'm going to give you all through this little one whom you've just heard from. To him, he no longer has a name, but to me, he is a gem of great worth. Didn't I say to you that blessed is the poor, for they will inherit heaven? Didn't I say that blessed are you when you are persecuted for my name's sake and have all manner of lies said about you? Didn't I say that I would be with you until the end of times, until the end of you? Because where you end is where and when I began. The latter days of this little one will be glorious because he has chosen to obey amidst the storm and stabbing raindrops. I have promised him that life will become brighter than noonday and darkness will become like morning. Let my words penetrate your hearts, dear ones, because they will be yours as well if you believe." And that was the end of Jesus' message. As he was dictating me these words, I cried like a baby because I knew it wasn't me. And I can't wait to see what he is about to do in my life. But in the meanwhile, the pain in my chest will not go away. My tears won't stop flowing. I am undone, completely undone. The mere thought of me being away from my boys consumes me to the core. And away from my beautiful wife, it seems though that very soon, and in my arms I will have my family very soon.